Yo, what up? Prince Sports here. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff. Yo, I want to talk about my man from Queens. None other than Kenny Spiff, the Jet Spiff. He was talking to Stephen A. Spiff today, and he was talking about his Rockets team from the mid-'90s. And people always ask him this question: would the Chicago Bulls beat you guys in the 90s? And, he did it in slick format. He said, we would have beat those guys in like 95 and all this other stuff. But he didn't touch on 1994. I noticed he skipped past that. He kept referring to 1995, that the year that the Houston Rockets would have beaten the Bulls. Okay, now, if you look at it from a record standpoint, okay, the Rockets have beaten the Bulls more times in a regular season than the Bulls beat them in the regular season. But then again, that's just the regular season, okay? That doesn't mean that come playoff time, you're going to beat that team just because you beat them in the regular season. The Bulls, if you watch those games back then, the Bulls always had problems with the Rockets just because they had to double team Hakeem Olajuwon. And when you double team Hakeem Olajuwon, it leaves all the other guys wide open to hit open shots. And they weren't going to miss wide open shots after Hakeem passes the ball out. And they had a couple feisty, good role players. They had Kenny Spiff, they had Robert Horry, they had Vernon Maxwell. They had a lot of good perimeter guards and defensive-minded guys. But with that being said, they still had no answer for Michael Jordan either. So if they did met in the playoffs, you would have to let Hakeem get his points, okay? Because one guy is not going to beat the whole team anyway. So what you do is the same simple, if you have a brain, you use the same simple trap that you use for any great player. You let the individual player get his, then you tell everybody else, hey, I dare your whole team to beat me. If you're going to get your points, fine. Because you can't score, you're not going to score 100 points a game, period. Hakeem is not going to score 100 in the playoffs against the Chicago Bulls, So even if he gets his points, it still won't be enough to beat the Chicago Bulls. The rest of those guys will have to step up. And that's when the problems will come in, because you got guys like Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, John Paxson, B.J. Armstrong, a lot of good guys that can score, spread the floor open, and they're good perimeter defensive players as well. So the Bulls would have beaten, in my opinion, the Houston Rockets in 94 for sure. Okay? No question about it. Because look at it like this. That team, when Jordan retired, he retired basically for a season and a half, right? In 1994, that team won 55 games. They surprised everybody. And they were a good, decent team. Horace Grant emerged to an all-star for that one single season. But after that season, in 1995, the Bulls fell apart. They begged Michael Jordan to come back. And he came back. He was out of shape. He was in baseball shape. And, they end up getting beat by the Orlando Magic. But they come back the next year and sweep those guys. So that's what I think would have happened in terms of that. So let's say if Jordan never retired, okay? They would have won 1994 because you have a team, they won 55, like I said. With Jordan, they'll automatically win the championship. There's no doubts, buts, or ifs about it. They go to the finals. They beat the Houston Rockets in 1994. They four-peat, okay? Here's the tricky part. 1995 was a year I think Jordan would be destined to lose. There would be no buts or ifs about it. The question is, how would you lose? Would they lose in the same format? I don't know, because Horace Grant, he was playing for a contract in 1994. That's why he balled out. And the Bulls didn't want to pay him the money that he was asking for, so he went to the Orlando Magic. And the Orlando Magic paid him a good amount of money. He had about like a good 3 years of his career where he played good. And, at his peak performance. 1995, the Bulls would have been lacking, a rebounder. They would have been a little spoiled. They would have had Tony Kukoc. He would have been here for 2 seasons or so. But the combination of Tony Kukoc, Scottie Pippen, and Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan that wouldn't have taken a break from baseball, I would have said they probably lose that season anyway because they would have crashed and hit a wall. But that's after they four-peated. If you lose and you four-peated the last previous 4 years before that, losing in the very next season is kind of pointless. It doesn't matter. You still got 4 championships. And they would have came back the very next season anyway. 1996 got Dennis Rodman and ran the course. So he would have finished with 7 championships, in my opinion. 7 to 8 championships in the 90s, if you ask me. They would have won 1999, and I think that would have been their final year that they would have won a championship. So they'd have won 96, 97, 98, 99, final year. And they would have won 91, 92, 93, and 94. They would have literally had 2 four-peats. They could have potentially had 2 four-peats. And that makes actually more sense to me. But Kenny Smith, you was slick with the way you was answering that, man. Bulls would have beat you guys for 1 season. I think you would have got them probably 1995. I think the Rockets was going to win at least 1 championship in 1995. So, thanks to Jordan retiring, it gave Hakeem the chance to get 2. But he would have had 1 if he played against Mike. And that's still, it's not like it's dominant. You just would have had 1 championship out of a guy that dominated your whole decade. But neither here or there, man. Prince Sports out. Keep it 3,000. What do you think? Do you think the Bulls would have beaten out those Rockets teams? There's always seemed to be that big question. Who would have won? You already got my answer, so let's see what your answer is. Peace.